Thank you for taking time to learn about how to take better care of your temple, your body. The temple is a resting place of the soul. So it's great to have your attention. Let me know how I can serve you in the comments below. Grab your notepad and throw some of what you learn in the comments below so that we could create more of a community and I could look at what you're learning and respond to that. So today we're going to go over principles, 3 principles, a little triangle, 3 principles to get you in the best shape of your life. Now, these 3 principles are going to be over any tactics and strategies that you may have. So tactics and strategies are like sprinting is an amazing strategy, right? It's an amazing strategy, or I should say tactic, because the strategy is when to do it and why it works. The tactic is just, what is it? What do I do? Sprinting is a great way to get in shape, but a lot of you may be thinking, I ain't gonna sprint, Keith. That's really challenging for me to do right now. Sprinting is not necessarily the same for every person. A sprint for someone may be walking fast or on a bicycle, on a recumbent bike, and going as fast as you can just for 10 or 20 seconds. So everyone can sprint, it's just at different levels. Another person sprinting may be looking like a really fast, world-class athlete runner. That's not what sprinting is. That is a strategy, or a tactic, and a strategy would be why? Because your heart rate gets at such a high level and you can do it 1 to 3 times a week, and you could do 1 to 10 different sprints that are about 10 seconds long. Great strategy. Now, if you're ready to learn on a much higher level, stay strapped in for this entire video, because we're going to go over 3 principles that will make that strategy and tactic so much more efficient and valuable in your mind. All right, so let's get to it. I'm going to give you a little visual just so you could be able to look at something and understand what we're talking about, okay? So I'm going to just make a triangle here, if that triangle's all right for you. All right, so yeah, I'll go a little closer so you can see. All right, so we have a triangle right here, and these principles are going to get you to where you'd like to go, to be able to run, to be able to jump, to be able to play, to be able to sleep better, sex better, sprint, and strength train. Because these 4 S's, sprint, sleep, sex, like vitality, vigor, libido we call it, and to have strength, to strength train, to be able to do some push-ups and some squats and lift some heavy stuff, to be able to lift groceries and play with your kids or lift them up, to have strength and vigor, vitality. These 4 S's, these 4 qualities are a greater predictor of your health and longevity, your confidence, than all the blood diastolics in the world, like blood pressure and blood sugar levels and cholesterol, which most people have high levels of those 3 things and even more. And we're at a tipping point, y'all. We really need to do something. So that's why I really appreciate you being here. So let's get to it. What's the number 1 principle? The number 1 principle that could reap you the most rewards and benefits to your health, your confidence, and your longevity. And it is progressive overload. What in the world is progressive overload? Some of you may know what progressive overload is, okay? Because it applies to everything, right? Let's think about progressive. We need to progress, right? Progress is the ultimate perfection. When we just keep on going after perfect, we tend to get so upset all the time because we're looking at what is missing. If we look at progress, we look at where we're going and how much we accomplish. Feels so much better. We get on this avalanche, this roller coaster, this snowball effect of doing and accomplishing and rewarding ourselves by that feeling that gets us to create momentum. Right now, you may be breaking inertia. So the progressive overload seems like so much, but that's because you're not applying this first word, progressive. That means slow steps. Like your first step, if you haven't been active in 5 years, 10 years, or even 1 or 2 months, let alone 1 or 2 years, is to, and it depends on you, but it might be walking for 5 or 10 minutes. It might be 1 set of body weight squats, not the gym for 60 minutes with a trainer that's gonna beat you up so that you're sore for 2 weeks. Okay, progressive is really vital. I could talk about each one of these principles easily for hours. So I'm gonna cap it a little bit. Just realize there is more to talk about and discuss than I'm gonna briefly express in this video, okay? So progressive overload, progressive overload. We got the progressive part down. We slowly increase what we're doing. Now, progressive also implies that you are consistent. If you do that 5 or 10 minute walk and that 1 set of body weight squats, and then you don't do anything for another few days or weeks or months or years, it's not going to do that much, right? To really see results, we must be consistent and progressive. Keep on doing a little more. Overload is another way of saying more. So when we overload the body or the muscle or the mind, we are able to do a little bit more than we did last time. Now, let's think about this in the be, do, have method, right? Or the mind, body, soul, or the spiritual plane, the physical plane, and the mental plane. It is so imperative to think first about being active and realize why this is so vital and so essential for you to get to all of your goals in life. What are you talking about, Keith? I thought we're talking about exercise. We are, yet you only do what you do because you feel like it. And to feel like exercising, we must really change the way we're thinking, our thoughts, and emotionally charge our thoughts to become a belief that this is something that we are doing because we are that. You are an athlete. You are active. You're not sedentary anymore. You're making this committed change. And then the progressive overload aspect becomes so much easier because you could see it first. You could see it in your mind. You're right, see it to believe it. It's really believe it to see it. But to believe it, we must visualize first. Visualize your progress. Visualize yourself doing those squats. Visualize yourself going for that 5 or 10 minute walk and how great you'll feel after. Not the like, oh, I got to break the inertia of like waking up in the morning, right? When you wake up in the morning, you're sleepy, you're comfortable in a nice warm bed. The greatest way to get up out of bed is, of course, just to do it, yet also to think about a rewarding activity that you're doing in the day, how great your day is. People that live great lives tend to get up a little earlier and easier, and when we are depressed as humans, we tend to stay in bed longer because it's challenging to break that inertia because we have no vision of where we're going. You must have a vision of where you're going. That's the first thing I work on with my students. Okay? Speaking of, if you are looking to improve your health so that you can live the life that you deserve, you could contact me by going to ogfit.com and getting a free clarity call to create your GPS for health, where we create action steps. So we go over this and your vision, but we create specific personal action steps. Okay? I also have a book if you want more information that is at thebesthealthprogram.com. Thebesthealthprogram.com. An amazing book, and it also has the audiobook available for you. Progressive overload. You must overload the body. When you did that first walk for 5 or 10 minutes and or that set of body weight squats, if you do that 3 times in 1 week, that's the strategy, right? That's the tactic, right? Actually, that's more of a strategy because it's time oriented, 3 times a week. And the tactic is your squats and your 5 or 10 minute walk. Just 1 set, less than a minute of squatting, y'all. Boom, boom, less than 1 minute. You do that 3 times per week. And then after a month or two, yes, a month or two, so you could adapt and slowly progress, then you could overload the body once again by maybe a second set. Really depends on where you're at. If you haven't been exercising for months or years, then it may be a good idea to spend weeks or months just doing that single exercise. Progressive overload. The number 1 principle to get to the best level of health that you could ever imagine. Okay? What is another principle that's going to get us to where we'd like to go? Intensity. The principle of intensity. Now, intensity also has to do with progressive overload. They all are part of a chain. They're all links on a chain, and we do not want to let any one of these links get weakened because it will destroy the entire chain. So intensity is contrary. We could put intensity on one side and volume on the other side. We have intensity on one side and volume on the other side. So if you increase intensity, you're decreasing volume. Right? If you increase intensity, you're decreasing volume. Let's give an example. And we could put this on the first tactic that I mentioned to you in the beginning of the video. If you are sprinting, you are increasing intensity to just 10 seconds of time. You're lowering the volume or time that you are committing towards this movement or this exercise. If you decide to go for a walk, then you're going to decrease intensity and increase time, maybe to 5 or 10 minutes instead of 10 seconds. 5 or 10 seconds turn to 5 or 10 minutes, where you're walking instead of going as quickly as possible, whether it's jogging, running, or sprinting. Really, jogging or running can be sprinting. It depends on you and your level where you're at. You could keep on increasing volume or time of training until you get to the point where you're walking for 60 minutes. And then when you decrease that volume of time and increase intensity, that 10-second sprint will be so much easier. Again, it's in the mind first, right? If you convince yourself that this is all hard and that you're going to get in an injury when you run and sprint, then it shall be. Whether you believe it or not, it is true. Okay? Because your beliefs create your identity. All right. So we got intensity. I'm going to keep it short and sweet for that one. Nice and intense of an explanation of the principle of intensity. So we have progressive overload. We have intensity, and we have specificity. Specificity. See how in the beginning of the video and most videos, we're specific about what we're teaching. There's a explanation, a title that said 3 principles of health, or health principles that get you to where you want to go. I actually haven't created the title yet, so I'm going to work on it to create specificity so that you can see it and say, ooh, I want that. What would you like? What do you wish for? What do you want? What is your dream? What is your desire? Because once you are specific about that, then we could transform that wish, want, and desire to a dream. And that dream could then become your destiny. Because when we have the destination, the directions are easy to give so that you could create your destiny. And once you know that you're on the right track and you commit yourself to it to be consistent, then you will create competence. And once you have competence, you're going to have confidence. And when you have confidence, then you get conviction. And conviction is where we'd like to go, because once you have faith and you know that's going to happen, your specific outcome, specificity, then it's only a matter of time. It is happening, and you're enjoying the journey instead of focusing so much on the destination. You're enjoying the cause instead of the cause and the journey, instead of just focusing on the effect and the destination. You're enjoying the process, y'all. The process of getting fit. Loving it. Because you're specific about where you want to go, right? And we'll put a little I in the center. Where you'd like to go. What is your vision? What is specifically something you'd like to do that would be like, yes! Right? I just climbed up a mountain. Yes! I just did it with my children or my friends or my parents. Yes! I just did lifted an X amount of weight, or did a one-legged squat, or did a squat. Like, if you can't do a squat and you see a child do a squat, I could only imagine the feeling. Like, they're on the ground, just sitting there on the ground, and they look so comfortable. When someone's in a split, that was comfortable to me. My specificity right now is I am going to do a split. And working on it is pleasurable to me because I know where I'm going. So again, the 3 principles are: number 1, progressive overload. Number 2, intensity, right? Intensity. And number 3 is specificity. When you tap into these 3 essential principles of health and wellness and fitness, specifically fitness principles, that's why I told you I haven't created the title yet that much. Right? Because it is health, but it's specifically fitness, specificity. We are specifically working on fitness right now. That is part of health, that is part of wellness, that in fact is part of nutrition, because when you do weight-bearing exercises, that's the only time you can actually get calcium and magnesium and other electrolytes into your cell, into the bone. You can't properly process all the nutrients that you intake and assimilate them without activity, without intense activity. Intense activity is so outstanding in studies what it does, yet you may want to start out again with what? If we take away intensity, what do we increase? Write it in the comments, say it out loud. If we take away intensity, what do we increase? Volume or time, right? So when we start to increase volume or time, then we give the potential to be able to decrease volume and time and increase intensity. You're gonna crush it knowing this. This right here, it literally took me like 27 years to realize how essential this step is to getting to where you'd like to go. I have focused so much on strategies and techniques that sometimes I have forgotten that principles work for everyone, everywhere, every time. Strategies and tactics, they work for some people sometimes at some points in their journey. You constantly are changing your strategies and tactics and techniques, but the principles are underlying and they work for everyone, everywhere, every time, whether you're an athlete or a beginner. May this video bless you in more ways than one. Please throw a comment down about what you got out of this, especially that you've watched for 20 minutes. Subscribe if you'd like to hear more. Don't if you didn't dig it, but if you're here this long, then you most likely enjoyed this piece of work, and it only gets better from here. So subscribe, like, share it with other people if you think that this could benefit them. Thank you so much. And remember, if you'd like more information, you could come over to ogfit.com, or you could get this amazing book that talks about these health principles and so much more. It is at thebesthealthprogram.com. Thank you so much, and stay blessed.